Hello, mathletes. This is the Math Guy, and I have created this channel to help those like me that struggle to grasp math and its concepts. If you find my examples and videos helpful, please support my channel by clicking the subscribe button below and the bell icon to receive more notifications and tips when I upload more content. Okay, so before we get started, one thing I wanted to discuss was perpendicular slope and getting it confused with the standard formula of deriving slope. That's one thing that I usually found students always got confused with. So I wanted to kind of iron that out so it doesn't become an issue and we get that straightened out. So we know that if you have something in standard form, the slope is going to be negative a over b. So for example, this particular equation, the slope would be negative a, right, which is a negative 3, over b, which is y. So this ultimately becomes positive 3, positive 3. So 3/4. That is the slope of this equation. Now, if we want to do the perpendicular slope for this equation, the formula would be negative b over a. So it's the negative reciprocal. So for example, the perpendicular line or the perpendicular slope to this line would be negative 4 over 3. So you take your numerator, put it at the bottom, take your denominator and you put it into the top, and you make it negative. That is the line, or that's the slope of the line that's perpendicular to this current equation. We have to do the reciprocal, which means the denominator goes to the numerator and the numerator goes to the denominator, and you make it negative. That's pretty much it. Another example would be, let's say minus 5 over 3 is your slope. Okay, the reciprocal would be 3 over 5. Okay, the 5 is negative, and now this is negative. So your answer would be positive 3 over 5. So that's how you convert a slope from here to over here and make it perpendicular. Perpendicular means it will cross it at 90 degrees. Okay, so I think this concludes perpendicular slope. Let's go ahead and continue with the end of graphing. All right, so let's take a look at some examples now that put everything together. These are the type of questions that I would put on my exams to see if the students have completely mastered all the graphing concepts that lead up to this point, which is slope, finding the y-intercept, the perpendicular slope, and understanding the slope. So this is a good problem. I usually, the teachers like to give because they involve the mastery of all the concepts put together, and that's usually a good barometer for the student to see if they've picked up these concepts, the student and the teacher. So I'm going to go ahead and go through one of these examples to see all the concepts put together. All right, so let's get started. All right, these are all the A through F are all the points that we're going to have to find, and this is your given information. So your m is equal to 2, which is your slope, and they give you a point, and then they tell you that the perpendicular line is going to go through 2, -1. So let's just put down the slope. So we know the slope's going to be basically 2 over 1. Okay, now our equation, we have to figure that out. So our equation, and we can figure out the equation. The equation is going to be basically our slope with our point slope formula. So let's put that formula now to use. So if we take what we know is y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1. So let's plug in the values for this equation. We have y minus, our y value here is 3, minus, we know our slope is 2, and here we have x minus, my x value is 0. So that really helps. So if we solve this, this becomes y minus 3 is equal to 2x. And we move the 3 over, plus 3 here, plus 3 here. Our line here is y is equal to 2x plus 3. So that's our equation, 2 we're going to have y is equal to 2x plus 3. So that's our equation. So what's our y-intercept? Okay, our y-intercept, we basically set our x to 0. So we have y is equal to 2 times, well, 0 plus 3. Well, this goes away, so y is equal to 3. So your y-intercept is going to be 0 and 3. Now our x-intercept, that's one that we haven't really done in any of the examples that we've done before. So we're going to actually do it here for the first time, but it's kind of similar to doing the y-intercept. So what we're going to do is we're going to set now y to 0 and solve for x. So now we know this equation is 0, 2x plus 3. So we need to put x by itself. So we're going to do minus 3 minus 3. So minus 3 is equal to 2x. Okay, so we're going to have to divide by 2. Divide by 2. And that means that minus 3 over 2 is equal to x. So it means your x-intercept is going to be minus 3 over 2 and 0. So let's now take a look at our perpendicular slope. Well, based on what we've done before, perpendicular slope was negative b over a. So if we apply this method to the 2 slope, our 2 is going to become negative 1 over 2. Okay, remember there's just 2 over 1. Remember, if there's nothing underneath, it's just the 1. So it's going to become negative 1 over 2. But that's all we need. We now have the slope and we have a point. So we have that point that's 2 minus 1. So now all we do is, again, apply the y slope formula. So y minus negative 1 is equal to my slope minus 1/2 x minus 2. All right, as I said, I don't do negative, so negative times negative become positive, right? And then we have y plus 1 is equal to negative 1/2 times x, and a negative 2 and a negative 1/2 is a plus 1. All right, so let's solve. Now we're going to do minus 1 here and a minus 1 here. Well, our equation is now going to become y is equal to negative 1 over 2 x. Now this line goes through the origin because there's no, the intercept just goes through 0 basically. There is no constant over here. So we're just going to go through the origin. Sorry, this is not a 0. This is, well, it is a 0, but there's nothing there. So let's go ahead and draw these lines. So my perpendicular slope is minus 1/2, and my perpendicular equation is y is equal to negative 1/2 x. So let's plot the first one. We'll do this line. We know that the slope for that line is 2, and the y-intercept and the y-intercept is 0 and 3. So we're going to do 0, 1, 2, and 3. And then we know it's positive. So the slope the line has to go this way. If we do that, we're going to go up to 1, 2, and then over 1. Okay? And that's your line right there. And we can do it going down. We can do our third line. 1, 2, and then this way. Okay, so that's line 1. Okay, now if we do a perpendicular line, line 2, okay, which is over here, well, at x equals 0, y is 0, so this is a point right here. That's an easy one because that's the point. And this time we know the slope is negative, so we have to go down 3 and then over 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that line is going to look something like that for line 2. And that's what your lines would look like. This is basically how to work through one of these problems. As you can see, you had to do 2 slopes, you had to do 2 lines, you had to figure out slopes, based on the information you were given. So this is a good problem to test how good you are with finding slopes and graphing the line. Okay, we're going to go through one more, a little bit different. This will be the last one I guess we'll do for graphing, and that should about wrap it up for graphing. So let's take a look. All right, same concept, but a little different information. In the last one, they gave me the slope. Here, they didn't give me that. So there's a little more work that has to be done here, but nothing that we shouldn't be able to do based on what we've already discussed. So the line through those points, if you have 2 points, you can figure out a slope. So let's go start there. How about that? So we go, my M is going to be, my y1 over x1 minus my y2 over x2. And in this case, we're going to say minus 2 over 7 minus 5 over negative 1. Okay, now I don't believe in minus, so plus, 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 and I do that because negative and negative is positive. So we have a positive 5 and a minus 2. That's just 3. And then a 7 plus a 1. That's 8. So my slope for this is 3 over 8. So my equation, point slope formula, y minus y1 is equal to m x minus x1. If we plug in points, and I like to plug in the 1 and the 5 just because I think those are easier. So we can plug those in, y minus 5. Don't forget to add the negatives that come with the points and keep the negatives that are part of the equation. Else you will create a problem you won't be able to solve it correctly. So we know our slope now is 3/8. We just found it. X minus, and this is also minus 1. Make sure you write all your negatives down. All right, now we can handle the negatives. We can just say, well, negative and negative is plus and plus. Negative and negative is plus and plus. So let's simplify this a little bit. So we got y plus 5 is equal to 3 over 8 x plus 3 over 8. If we distribute the 3 over 8, okay? Now this one has a fraction. No worries, okay? We can still work with that. Let's go ahead and subtract 5 from both sides. Okay, so we're going to subtract 5 here and subtract 5 here. Now, this is something that we went over, and I guess we'll go over in fractions, and a lot of people had a really hard time with the fractions when we had to do fractions this way. So this is one of the things that I basically told my students to do is you can write 5 in another way to help you solve this problem. So we need to subtract the number 5. Forget about the negative for now. We just need to subtract 5. So how do we do that? We can do that by rewriting the 5 as something that's more convenient for us. So let's say we're going to do 3/8 minus, and our denominator needs to be 8. But up here, what we're going to do is we're going to put 40. Why 40? That's another way of rewriting 5. If you do 40 divided by 8, that's going to give you 5. I'm using it here to help me with this subtraction of fraction. 3 basically minus a negative 40, you're going to basically get something like this. You're going to have y is equal to your 3/8x plus 37 minus 37 over 8. Now, if you don't like the negative up here, you can move it to the bottom and still write it as y is equal to 3 over 8x minus 37 over 8. Okay? And that's your equation. Either one of these that you put down would be 100% correct because it's just moving the negative sign from the number down to part of the equation. They both mean the same thing. But, I guess the hard part for a lot of people was doing this part. A lot of people get tripped up and subtracting 5. They wouldn't know how to subtract 5. And all I told them was, well, there's a lot of ways to write 5. So let's write it in a way that helps us. And you need to understand that you can't subtract or add fractions that don't have the right denominator. That was where most people got tripped up. So let's keep going. So now that we have our equation is going to be what we have down here is y is equal to 3 over 8 x minus 37 over 8. So what's our y-intercept? Well, our y-intercept is going to be where x is 0. Or x is 0, you're at negative 37 over 8. It's the beauty of having it in slope form. Now, the x-intercept is going to be a little different because we're going to actually have to work through that. So let's go ahead and work through the x-intercept. At the x-intercept, we're going to say that our y is 0. So we're going to say 0 is equal to 3 over 8 x minus 37 over 8. Okay, so we have to find our x-intercept now. So let's move this over. We're going to, and it's not that bad because the denominators are 8 on both sides. So we're going to move this over, plus 37 over 8 plus 37 over 8. So that's going to become 37 over 8 is equal to 3, 8x. All right. So we're going to multiply this side by 8 over 3, right? The reason we're doing that, because we can get rid of these. Multiply it over here. 8 over 3. And it's okay, because all that happens is these cancel. All right, so you have a lot of stuff cancel, all right? And so we have the 8s. The 8s basically cancel each other. This is going to become 37 over 3 is equal to x. Okay? This is just understanding, I guess, how to divide and multiply, so you know that these two can cancel. Okay, and then you're just left with this, so it's 37 over 3. If you can reduce it, go ahead and reduce it. In this case, you can't reduce it. Okay, so we have 37 over 3. So our x-intercept is going to be 37 over 3 and 0. Okay, so these numbers are getting big, and I still have 2 more things to go through. So let's go through the next 2 things that we need to figure out, which is the perpendicular slope. For example, our slope for this one, we have to change the 3/8 to its perpendicular slope. Okay. Call this perpendicular. So this would be negative, the reciprocal, the 8 and the 3. Remember, you have to apply the negative. So that is the slope of the perpendicular line. Okay, so for E, come over here and say negative 8 over 3 is the perpendicular slope. That's your answer for E. What is the equation for the line? The perpendicular line that goes through 3 and 2. Well, we basically have to apply the point slope formula again as we've had. So we're going to say, y minus y1 is equal to m x minus x1. Fill these in, and the y in this case is minus 2. The m, we figured it out, it's minus 8 over 3 times x minus the number 3. So let's work through this now. All right, negative and negative become positive. Okay, so this is just going to be written as y plus 2 is equal to minus 8 over 3x. And if we multiply these things, the 8 and the 3, well, 8 and 3, and it's negative. By the way, this is negative and negative, so you're going to have a positive. So 8 times 3 gives you 24. So it's going to be 24 over 3. Okay? Now, we can also reduce that, or we could just multiply the 3 and the 3 and the 3, and we'd be left with 8, but I'd rather do it this way and then show you how to get to the 8. Let's rewrite this a little cleaner. Y plus 2, still, I'm not going to move it over yet, minus 8 over 3. X 24 divided by 3 is just 8, so plus 8. Right? So we're going to do a minus 2 here, minus 2 here. Your y is equal to minus 8 over 3x plus 6. And that's your second equation. So your equation down here for this one, y equal to minus 8 over 3x plus 6. All right, I know I'm in a little bit into the graph, but let's go ahead and graph these as best we can. Let's go with the first one. The first one is y. First one is this one. We have y is equal to 38x minus 37 over 8. Okay, and we have our y-intercept there, so we can use that as a point. Now, a lot of people get intimidated by these weird looking fractions. No sweat it, no bother. All we do is, let's say 8 times 4 gives you 32. 8 times 5 gives you 40. So you know you're going to be at something 4. That's all you need to know. That's about close enough. So let's do that. So our y-intercept is going to be negative 4 something. 1, 2, 3, 4, and something close to 4. Something close to 5 after 4. All right, so now we know our slope. Our slope is positive, so our line has to be going this way. So we got to go 3 up and then 8 over. So this is a very, small slope because you're gonna have to run basically a lot to the 8 to the right. All right, so from here we're gonna go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then over 8. That's from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our line's gonna look a little something like this. Very flat looking. So that's the equation of the first line. Okay, let's try the second line. Okay, we know the second line, if we plug in 0 for x, okay, if we plug in a 0 there, then y is equal to 6. Okay, so we're gonna say, and it's positive 6. So from here, we're gonna go up. We're gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and our point is way up there at the top. All right, and we know that this line is decreasing, so this line has to go down. Okay, now our run is negative, our rise, is negative, so we're going to go down, and then we're going to go over 3. So we're going to say minus 8 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 3 over. 1, 2, 3. This is our perpendicular line as best as I can draw it. So that's what your lines look like, and this is totally messy. Apologize for that, but this is a complete problem to understand, all the basic concepts of slope and graphing. I hope you enjoyed all the videos. I hope it was helpful. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button if you liked all the videos. I will be doing more content. So for now, bye, and until the next time. Thank you for watching. That'll do it for now. If you found this video helpful, please click the like button as it will help me for future videos. If you have any questions or ideas for a video, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you. Until next time.